This is the entrance to Hampton Court Palace. Hampton Court was the favourite country house of King Henry VIII. It remained a royal residence until the time of George II. Finally, in 1838, Queen Victoria opened it to the public. Today, both the palace and the parklands which surround it remain popular with visitors of all ages. Hello? Hello, may I ask you something? Do you often fish here?
Yes, I sell my out of work, so we come down here virtually every day. It's the same to do.
Do you ever catch anything?
Yes, we do, yeah. We had some quite nice ones this season.
We're very lucky around here with the parks that we have here. With this park, Bushy Park, and Home Park, or Hampton Court Park, and Richmond Park, we've got marvellous facilities for children and for people like me who just like walking.
Do you have many visitors now in winter?
Fair share, and then we have a number of schools. The winter period is allocated especially for schools, instructional courses.
We've already seen lots and lots, but we're hoping to see, a lot more.
We've done the Tower of London already. We've done Westminster Abbey. We haven't done St. Paul's yet, alas, but we will. The British Museum is forthcoming. We'll visit the British Film Institute for 2 days.
I like the castles the most. We went to Warwick Castle, and that was great.
Are you hoping to see any more castles and palaces?
We went to Windsor Castle,
yes,
and that was nice. And we're seeing the changing of the guards at Buckingham Palace, and changing of the horse guards.
I think these places are always more opulent than I expected in the first place, particularly from British castles. I've somehow expected that European ones would be more opulent, and this seems to me to be perhaps more on the grand European style than the typical English type of stately home, isn't it?
Well, the shows and the theatre and the cinemas are excellent here. The problem, of course, for people from overseas is getting tickets.
The gardens of Hampton Court are as famous as the palace itself. Like the buildings, the grounds reflect the changing styles and fashions of each generation. Henry VIII, Charles II, William III, they all made their own contributions to the design of one of the most delightful gardens in England. Mr. Cook, this is a really magnificent vine. Can you tell me when it was planted?
In 1768 by Capability Brown, who was employed as a gardener here by George III.
Could you explain to me, please, what the gardener is doing there with that knife?
Mrs. Peto is just going about tying in the rods, and she's scraping because the old bark that are on these rods harbours pests. And many pests, of course, hide underneath the bark and get protection. So what she's doing is scraping it off so they start off nice and clean, and that the pests that we're concerned with can't hide under the bark itself. So we make a clean start in the year.
Now, many people may not know very much about Hampton Court, but the one thing everyone knows about is the maize. When was the maize planted?
Well, we think about 1690, approximately. There is evidence to suggest that some form of maize may have been there before, but the geometric construction as it today is, was probably implemented in the 1690s. You see, it takes up about 1/3 of an acre in extent, and the paths within the maze are 1/2 mile. The hedges comprise at the moment of 3 plants: yew, hornbeam, and privet. Now, there's reason to suggest that when it was planted in 1690, that hornbeam formed the hedges.
Zeta's plane arrives at Terminal 3 at 2:50 in the afternoon.
Now, where will she go after she enters the terminal building?
Well, naturally, as a very important person, she will be taken to the VIP lounge.
Well, what about her, fans?
The fans will all be standing behind these barriers here and here.
How many are you expecting?
Oh, I would imagine about 20,000. Maybe 25.
Now, we're going to have a big car waiting for her, a limousine. So if it waits over there, will that be all right?
Oh, yes, fine. That shouldn't be difficult. Naturally, I imagine that your program will be paying special attention to the highlight of Zeta's arrival.
The highlight?
Yes. You see, I'll be greeting her myself with 100 red roses, which I pay for myself, of course. Didn't you know? I'm one of Zeta Starlight's biggest fans.
Aren't you a bit old for that sort of thing?
I'm young at heart, Mr. Ralston. Young at heart.
Yes. Now, when our limousine arrives...
After I've presented my roses, I'll recite my poem.
Poem? What poem?
I've written it specially for her. Would you like to hear it?
No.
Oh, good. It goes like this. Roses are red, and violets are blue. To you, Zeta Starlight, I'll always be true. I like you much more than anyone supposes, and I really hope that you'll like my roses. I think she'll be pleased, don't you?
Oh, yes. I'm sure she'll be amazed.
The canteen's looking nice, Mrs. Belmont.
Oh, I'm glad you think so, Mr. Stenhouse. I've been cleaning it up for Zeta Starlight. I just hope it'll be ready in time for her.
I can't guarantee she'll come to the canteen, you know.
Oh, but she'll want to. I'm sure she'll want to. I'm just wondering what to wear. I don't want to look old-fashioned.
I expect she'll want my autograph. She'll recognize a future star.
I'm sure she can't wait to meet you, Billy.
Do you want your tea or don't you, Mr. Stenhouse? It'll be cold by the time you drink it.
I'll have a cheese sandwich, please, Mrs. Belmont.
There you are, Sarah. Nice and fresh.
Yes.
Oh, you're so lovely. So lovely. Just looking at you makes me feel very happy. I love you. Do you know that? I love you. I'm going to give you a drink now. But when winter comes, you're only going to get one drink a week. So that by the time spring arrives, you'll be so happy and healthy and beautiful.
Okay, now will you please read the followings and notice the use of going to express future activity. Please read along. One of my plans isn't very well. One of my plans isn't very well. I went to a gardener and he advised me to talk to them every day. I'm going to talk to them all now until they are big and strong. Okay, let's try once again. One of my plants isn't very well. I went to a gardener and he advised me to talk to them every day. I'm going to talk to them all now until they are big and strong. All right, audience? Who said the remarks we have just read? Yes, that's right. Corinne did. Corinne Roberts did. Remember, audience, she seems to find plants more interesting than people. Do you remember that? Yes, Corinne Robert seems to find plants more interesting than people. Right? Billy Barker told us about that. Now listen again to what she says. I'm going to talk to them all now until they are big and strong. I'm going to talk to them all now until they are big and strong. In this sentence, Corinne intends. She intends to talk to her plans. She intends to do something, that is, to talk to her plans. So she uses going to future. Alright? Now look at the other example. I'm going to give you a drink. I'm going to give you a drink now. But when the winter comes, you are only going to get one drink a week. I'm going to give you a drink now. But when the winter comes, you are only going to get one drink a week. By the way, who is Corinne talking to? Yes, she is talking to her plans. Okay? Audience, please watch the following example of going to, but this time using going to in the past. Ready? Please read the sentence loudly. I was going to wear a long dress, but I decided this would be more suitable. I was going to wear a long dress, but I decided this would be more suitable. I'm sure you notice in this sentence we use going to in the past. In the past. I was going to wear a long dress, but I decided this would be more suitable. By the way, do you remember who mentioned this sentence? Yes, Mrs. Belmont did. In this sentence, Mrs. Belmont intended to wear a long dress, but she wore something else instead. So she did not wear a long dress. She wore something else instead. She intended to, but she didn't do that. Alright? Now audience, when we talk about a future fact, we use the will future tense. Here is an example. He left his office an hour ago, so he'll be home soon. He left his office an hour ago, so he'll be home soon. Look at another example. It's a beautiful day, so you won't need to take your raincoat. It's a beautiful day, so you won't need to take your raincoat. Won't from will not. So in these two sentences, we use will for future tense, right, to express future fact. Audience, now I want you to read the following remarks. Right? Here you see the use of present continuous for future activity, and also future tense with going to and will, as you have already learned. I am doing an interview with Zita Starlight. I am doing an interview with Zita Starlight. I'm going to meet her at the airport, so I'll have to go out there early and arrange all the details. Shall we read once again? I'm doing an interview with Zita Starlight. I'm going to meet her at the airport, so I'll have to go out there early and arrange all the details. Audience, as you have already known that the present continuous tense can also be used to express futurity. When we want to talk about an arrangement, we use the present continuous tense. I'm doing an interview with Zita Starlight. We have already arranged to interview her when she arrives. I'm doing an interview. So this is an arrangement. Here's another example. Zita is coming to the follow-through office. Zita is coming to the follow-through office. Here's another one. She is arriving in 20 minutes. She is arriving in 20 minutes. So in these sentences, we use present continuous tense, to be plus verb ing. Right? But it means for futurity. Okay, so we use present continuous to express futurity. Well, audience, I'm afraid it's time now for us to say goodbye. Thank you very much indeed for joining this program. And don't forget to try to retell in your own words about Hampton Court. Right? Well, in the next program, I will try to ask you some questions about Hampton Court. Okay? All right then. Thank you very much once again, and good night, everybody.